Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello, faithful Squiz Kids listeners, and welcome to the Kids vs. Adults Weekly News Squiz, your chance to see who's had their listening ears on and been paying the most attention to the week that just was. I'm Bryce Corbett. All week in the Squiz Kids Today podcast, we've been bringing you the big news stories of the day, run through our kid-friendly filter to make sure you know all you need to know about the world around you. Now, it's time to test how much of the week's news you've retained, and in the process, see who's smarter, kids or adults. Plus, of course, because it's a Friday, we've got all today's birthday shout-outs and all the shout-outs for the weekend coming, including the birthday reggae tune, because it wouldn't be a Friday without it. So, here's how the quiz works. 5 questions for kids about the weekend news, then 5 questions for adults. Whoever answers the most correct questions wins. Simples. You ready? Let's do this. All right, kids, here are your 5 questions. Question number 1. Last Sunday, the ABC counted down the top 100 episodes of Bluey, as voted by fans of the show. Which episode, featuring one of Australia's favourite summer sports, came in at number 1? Yeah, that's right, it was cricket. Question number 2. And continuing with the cricketing theme, if you were up very early on Monday morning this week, you might have seen Australia win the One-Day International Cricket World Cup. Woohoo! Which national team were they playing against? And if you need a hint, this country is home to 1.4 billion people. Yeah, that's right, they were playing against India, the hosts. Question number 3. This week in the podcast, we heard about some hungry animals that are helping Queensland Rail prevent bushfires occurring around train lines. Can you name the animals? And I'll give you a hint. They can have horns, and they have a reputation for eating anything. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about goats. Question number 4. We heard in the podcast this week about an English doctor who will be travelling to Australia early next month to participate in a celebration of hair. Which hairstyle does the Aussie festival feature? And I'll give you a hint. It's often known as business in the front, party at the back, and it shares the same name as a fish. Yeah, of course, I'm talking about the mullet, the almighty mullet. Question number 5. The internet went into meltdown this week over a new movie from a franchise featuring boy and girl wizards, house elves, and He Who Must Not Be Named. It turns out, though, that the trailer was a fake, totally generated by AI. Which movie franchise and books am I talking about? Yeah, of course, the boy wizard himself, the Harry Potter franchise. How did you go, kids? How many did you get right out of 5? Do you reckon that's enough to beat the adults? Yeah, I reckon so too. Okay, adults, now it's your turn. Fire up the grey matter. Here we go. Question number 1. High-profile CEO Sam Altman was the CEO of tech company OpenAI until earlier this week when he was sacked by the company's board. Which groundbreaking AI platform was Altman responsible for? Yeah, that's right, he was responsible for ChatGPT. Question number 2. This one's a true or false question. US President Joe Biden celebrated his 81st birthday this week. Joe Biden is the oldest serving US president. True or false? It is in fact true. Question number 3. Sticking with the presidential theme, President Biden issued 2 pardons, commuting the death sentences of 2 Minnesota residents named Liberty and Bell in the lead up to Thanksgiving this week. Who, or what, are Liberty and Bell? Yeah, well done if you said turkeys, which are the traditional Thanksgiving dinner in America. Question number 4. We heard in the podcast this week that Lionel Messi's World Cup jerseys will soon be up for auction. They are expected to break the record for the highest amount paid at auction for sporting memorabilia. Which other sporting great holds the current record for a jersey sold last year? Yeah, I'm talking about basketball's very own GOAT, Michael Jordan. Question number 5. King Charles played host to South Korean dignitaries and a number of K-pop stars at Buckingham Palace this week. Which 2012 song that paved the way for the global K-pop craze did the king give a shout out to? Yeah, that's right. It was Gangnam Style. What else? How did you go, adults? How many did you get right? Did you beat the kids? Who won bragging rights this week? If you've missed any of these cool news stories throughout the week and you want to refresh your memory, all of this week's Squiz Kids episodes are available for a re-listen wherever you get your podcasts. Well, that's the end of the quiz, which means it's now time for...
Shout-outs.
It's Friday, November 24. Today is Fairy Bread Day, so get those hundreds and thousands and fill your boots. Today also sees the release of our final Squiz Kids Book Club episode for the year, where kids review books for other kids. If you're listening on an app, it should play directly after this episode, or search for it on our website, squizkids.com.au. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today and over the coming weekend. And there's so many of you, I reckon we ought to crack out the old birthday reggae tune. What do you reckon? Hit it. And it's a happy birthday today to Caleb from Wagga Wagga. And celebrating a birthday over the coming weekend are Darley from Montmorency, Isla from Ellamore Vale, Luke from Mount Isa, Toby from Wahroonga, Maeve from Kensington, Matisse from North Gateway, Zabir from Oyster Bay, Alex from Ivanhoe, Fiona from Junee, Melissa from Abbotsford, Oscar from Erskineville, Nicola from Adelaide, and Esther from Maroubra. And because we're getting towards the end of the year and the classroom shout-outs are backing up, let's do a couple of classroom shout-outs for a Friday too. Classroom shout-outs today go to classes 2B, 4M and 4W at St Christopher's Catholic Primary School, to class 6P and Mr Johnson at Gulgong Public School, to class 5 Red and Mrs Griffin at St Agnes Primary School in Brisbane, to classes 6TM and 6MR with Mrs M and Mrs Reid at John Henry Primary School in Pakenham, to Year 3 with Liam at Bridgewater Primary School, to class 4-5C with Miss Hawkins at East Derwent Primary School in Bridgewater, to Mrs Buchholz's class at Lura Public School, and finally to all of the students at New Century International Elementary School with Mrs Schaefer in Fayetteville in North Carolina, USA. And a big old shout out to all our listeners over there in the United States. Well, that's all we have time for. I hope you're enjoying these quizzes. Don't forget, there'll be a new one dropping first thing every Friday morning. And the best bit, they're absolutely free. Just as all our other excellent content is also free. We're talking a Squiz Kids Today news podcast on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, a Squiz Kids Shortcut or a Squiz the World every Tuesday, and for all the teachers out there, there's a Classroom Companion, our teacher-produced daily classroom activity sheets. Curriculum aligned and tied to the daily podcast twice a week, now on Mondays and Wednesdays. Genius. Check it all out at squizkids.com.au or simply subscribe to Squiz Kids in your favourite podcasting app and all this groovy content will magically appear. For now though, this is Bryce Corbett signing off and reminding you all to get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.